Good afternoon, all. Welcome to Stable Stories. Stable Stories is a podcast series featuring founders, builders, pioneers in the stablecoin industry. Today, we have Conrad Urban. He is the co-founder of Peanut, and Peanut is building a global cash app. I know Conrad, we go way back, so I'm stoked about this episode. How you doing, Conrad?
Really well, and thank you for taking the time on New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
So
of course.
exciting
Last
to
day
be
of
chatting.
2025.
Yeah, what a
It's a
wrap.
perfect metaphor. Nice. Cool. Well, welcome to the show. Just to kick things off, tell us a little bit about your journey in crypto, how you came to founding Peanut, and what Peanut is all about.
Yeah, I have a really fun, very quirky, very weird story with crypto and Ethereum. So I learned about Ethereum in an old, dusty senior common room of a medieval English university. In a reading group, and this was in 2014, mind you, in a reading group called Smart Contracts. And this was in the philosophy department. so, so it was me, one scared little undergrad, and a group of postdocs and PhD students who opened up a reading group called Smart Contracts to nerd out on the future of institutions and trust and whatever. And yeah, we were reading Nick Szabo and so on, and that's how I learned about Ethereum. I was the least smart person in the room, but I got very excited and very curious about the whole space. Back then, I was convinced everyone's going to end up in jail. I think I had good reasons because there were many people who were trying to do like issuance of private currencies. Silk Roads just happened. I thought it was like a kind of very cool dream, but very unrealistic and like very kind of anarchist, but without the practical kind of mindset that you would need to actually change the world. And then yeah, the next thing was the ICO boom. When that happened, I was super disenchanted with like, okay, cool, it's just centralized exchanges and people doing like weird tokens that don't make sense. And then finally, when FTX happened, that was the moment for me where I thought, wow, this is the right moment to actually enter the space, because self-custody would emerge as the dominant thing. That didn't quite happen, but I was super bullish on self-custody. I still believe that self-custody is the greatest financial revolution or innovation since we invented custody 500 years ago, or like systemic, like banks essentially.
Yep.
And yeah, and when FTX happened, it felt like the right moment where not only the space would get kind of like cleansed, to use an ugly word, of a lot of like very speculative stuff, but also of of the influence of decentralized exchange. I thought there'd be a mass exodus to self-custodial solutions, which then would create a huge wave of innovation in truly decentralized finance. This happened to an extent, not as much as I hoped, but well, here we are today in 2025, still in 2026 tomorrow, where finally self-custody UX is as good as centralized UX, or like centralized exchange UX. And yeah, very, 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 very happy to be here. I know this was a long-winded way of telling the story of how I got into it, but I hope it also explains why we're so keen on building a self-custodial global cash app.
No, I love that intro and that genesis, actually, because it's almost the complete inversion of the normal genesis of people walking into the crypto market. You got introduced to Ethereum in the exact opposite of sort of a cypherpunk setting. Like, it wasn't in your mom's basement; it was a medieval library. You got disenchanted by the ICO boom, which is typically what brought a lot of people into the space, and you got excited about FTX, which most people like. I could not have painted a more inverse trajectory than what you just described. That was actually epic. Yeah, I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, cool. So standard boilerplate question that we ask all the guests every week. First stablecoin experience. What was it? When did it happen? If you can remember, or even an interesting one.
I'm quite sure that I had stablecoins in a centralized exchange way back, right? Like something like USDT or whatever, just to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum, and then to transfer it and use it as gas on a self-custodial wallet. And but that's a lame. That's not a real use of stablecoins. That's
It's
just
honest.
you
It's
buying.
Okay. I'll take it. No worries.
I think that's just using dollars to buy Bitcoin with one extra step in the middle. I think stable coins for like for the global settlement that they give, the first time I used must have been around when I got full time into crypto. I don't think I've ever used stable coins in a meaningful way, like excluding the buying of something on a centralized exchange before I got full time into crypto, which is FTX time. So yeah.
Makes sense. And please tell me a little bit more about Peanut, what you're building, and how that's going.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're building a global cash app, and when I say that, what I mean is a global app that allows you to transact with whoever you like, without having to ask them which payment network they're on or where they are based and so on. The way it's whilst also being able to connect to legacy rails, right? So when I send you $10, it shouldn't matter to me whether you put them in a bank account, into a self-custodial wallet, or even a centralized exchange, or wherever you want to put those $10. Maybe your Venmo, your Revolut, whatever, shouldn't matter. And that's kind of both the app and the infrastructure that we're building is to abstract away kind of that. And the way you use Peanut today is very simple. You can use it to do whatever, like Venmo style peer-to-peer transaction, like bill splitting or just sending money to friends. But also you can use it to deposit funds from stablecoins or a bank into Peanut and then route them to wherever you like. And it's especially useful in Europe, US, and LATAM, specifically Brazil and Argentina, where you can also spend it with merchants. So you can use the local QR code systems and spend your stablecoins for like real caipirinhas in Brazil or Malbec wine in Argentina. And yeah, people today use it for many different ways, from bill splitting and peer-to-peer transactions all the way to depositing their salaries, if they're doing freelance work, and then using the funds to keep it in dollars and only top up like a local payment method from time to time.
Amazing. Nice. And I have the luxury of context because we've been Eco and Peanut has a long relationship. So we sort of like watched the project grow over time. We've used Peanut in a bunch of our products. Really an amazing piece of work. But like, I guess what I'd love to hear more about is how you think about, or you're thinking about, honing in on specific markets and use cases, because it seems like there's a million different things that Peanut could be implemented for, right? And it seems like over the course of the last few years, you're becoming more opinionated about that use case and exploring different markets. So a little bit of like insight into your thinking there would be awesome.
Absolutely. So we are super bullish on the peer-to-peer payments use case because it's very social. And we see the following two trends. One is essentially middleware and infra is getting commodified to a large extent. So unless it has economies of scale or network effects, it's getting commodified. And the second part is there is a huge fee compression happening. And that's just because stablecoins are more efficient. So in that space, what do you end up with in the long run? Like either you build a business that has economies of scale and network effects because, I don't know, maybe you do some very complex orchestration or you need a lot of liquidity, something like that. Or you build a social graph and you have like a moat in the fact that you have people use your thing in social settings with other people. So it's a Venmo style play where, you know, what's the value of Venmo? Well, it's the fact that you use it, Dave, that like Hugo uses it, that Conrad uses it, and that's what makes Venmo valuable, that it becomes like a default way to settle with friends, and you don't even ask the question, hey, can I like should we do this on you just Venmo someone, right? Because you assume that, let's say if they're American, you just assume that they have Venmo. And that's kind of we're very opinionated there because of those two reasons. And I think we'll see a lot of we're seeing a lot of people build in the stablecoin space what's the on-chain bank stack. And I'm super bullish on the on-chain bank in inverted commas, because it's not a bank, because it's self-custodial, right? But like the thing that replicates Revolut or Monzo or whatever, all these neobanks, but on-chain and in a self-custodial, I'm super bullish on that. It's just a very different product from doing a social payments app. So yeah, we were very opinionated in making it easy to send money to friends. That's kind of our main goal here. Yeah.
That makes total sense. And on that note, could you walk me through exactly how a transaction works with Peanut? Whether a user has the app or not. Let's say I want to send $100 from, I'm in Spain. I want to send $100 to Argentina and have that person be able to sort of turn that into money at the ATM.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you mentioned ATM, because in fact we are the cheapest way of getting pesos in cash. Like nice. In Argentina.
That's cool. Nice.
But so the way this would work end to end is, first you need to deposit some funds into your Peanut wallet. You can do that either in fiat, so from a bank account currency. So you can put in, I don't know, whatever it would be, $100, I don't know, 85 euros into your Peanut. That gets turned into dollars. And then those $100 you can send via a Peanut link or QR code if you're seeing this person like IRL in Meet Space. And then they can just scan the QR code, and then they're faced with a bunch of choices. Now, we think about payments, these digital kind of dollar payments, as cash payments. And one of the cool properties of cash is, if I give you a $100 note, I don't care whether you put it in your right pocket or your left pocket. So now that person gets the $100 note in the form of a link or QR code, and now they get to choose, cool, do they want to claim it into a Peanut wallet and keep it inside of Peanut? Or do they want to maybe route it directly to their bank? Or maybe it's used in Argentina, Mercado Pago, or to a central exchange or something like that. And let's hope they choose Peanut. That's the biggest and pinkest button. So they can have $100 in their account, and now they can go out into the world in Argentina and either direct it to their bank, or they can start spending with the local QR code method, which just go to a bar and order some Malbec or steak or whatever you like in Argentina, and pay with the local QR code method, and that way they spent immediately. So that's in fact one of the flows that we're seeing is specifically Spanish people sending money into Argentina, because there are many people with Spanish family ties in Argentina, and that's exactly the flow they are doing. And then they keep it inside of Peanut because they're able to spend it wherever, and they keep the dollar, right? Like you keep the dollar, but you spend the pesos. And that's also a really important part of our vision of fixing money, is like giving people the choice of always keeping their funds in like a good non-inflationary type of money, because yeah, the pesos still has like 30% inflation.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I really love the fact that it seems like a product that meets users actually where they are, right? It's unopinionated about how you want to spend the value that's being sent to you, and unopinionated about how you get that value to the user. It doesn't like my grandma. I don't have a grandma in Argentina, but if I had a grandma in Argentina, doesn't need to download a wallet specifically in order to accept the funds, right? And I think that that's
Correct.
That's a pretty magical thing, and not something that I've seen too many places otherwise. So that's really cool.
I have a fun anecdote on this. We went in Argentina. We went to a random guy who's selling, forgot what they're called, but this kind of street food that's essentially a sandwich. And this guy spoke no English whatsoever, like not a single word. And we decided, cool, it's a perfect opportunity to test our UX, because it's all in English. We're not localized yet.
Yeah.
But let's test whether he can always, just by pressing the big pink button, can he follow through and actually do whatever he needs to do. And we convinced him to accept peanut payment rather than cash payment in pesos. And he accepted it. And then, and you know, it worked fine, and we were very, very happy, and we congratulated and patted ourselves on the back, like, cool, well done, the UX is good enough. This guy could actually make use of the app, receive the payment, put it into his bank account in this case, and he was happy. But 2 days later, we see that this very guy invited 2 of his friends.
Nice.
and because we're invite only, so we track the invite codes, and and that was magical. And then we went back to him and we asked him why were you doing this, and he was like, well, it's so easy to buy dollars. Like I wanted to interact with dollars.
Amazing. Yeah, it means something's right? Network effects is and social proof is huge. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about some of the principles that you built Peanut on, namely custody. And it's funny, this has come up in a few different podcasts that we've had with different founders that are building products that would be much easier if they were built without a philosophical basis in mind, but become much harder, but ideally more robust when they're built with those principles. You wrote a blog article recently, called why we're here, right? And you mentioned building according to sort of the values that made Ethereum matter in the first place. Wondering if you could like go over that bit of a Cole's Notes, talk about some of the philosophical underpinnings of Peanut and why you chose to build that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if you think deeply about what made Ethereum successful, other than, being first mover and blah, 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 all this stuff, is that it started off in this very, like, minus maybe the DAO hack and so on, but like it started off as this very robust, extremely decentralized thing from day zero, or from day one, and by being, like you can't fully do everything this way today. But also there's no need, because regulation has changed a lot. I think one of the things that people tend to forget was that everyone was after these blockchain guys for like decades, right? So they had to be fully decentralized so they wouldn't end up in jail, right? Or have like very complex legal structure. But anyway, I digress. I think what made Ethereum really, 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 really strong was that it was had this open source focus. This just builds resilience and allows people to contribute and notice things, and be part of a community and feel part of the whole product. That's one thing. The other thing that is extremely valuable is rewarding contribution and growth. Like if you think about Ethereum as a token, like ETH, like you get rewarded for participating in the network. The first proof of work, now proof of stake. And we are replicating this with our growth strategy. So our growth strategy is specifically based on this idea that if I invite someone into the Peanut network, and that person then generates value for the network, I should get the rewards. So if I invite you, and I think I did invite you, Dave.
You did, yeah.
I'm actually getting rewards. I will get rewards, and I will get rewarded based off of your contribution to the network. And this is kind of like, if you think about a payments network as a social graph, we are rewarding you for building out that social graph. If you think about Ethereum as a trust machine, then Ethereum was rewarding people for proof of work initially, or like building trust, essentially proof of work, and now proof of stake. Both of them are there to create trust programmatically, right? And so these are two hugely important inspirations for us, and two principles with which we're building like from day zero. And and we really think about recent technological innovations as a moment to completely reshape how money moves and is kept, right? So self-custody for keeping money, stable coins, and privately issued currencies, including a whole set of innovation that's going to happen, like flat coins, like easy switching between currencies, like the Swiss franc or whatever performs best. And finally, moving money and making it internet native in that it doesn't know borders. When I send you a WhatsApp message or a Telegram message, I don't care whether it's going cross-border or not. It's just a message. It should be the same way with money. And I think this global first open source rewards the right thing tokenomically is like very Ethereum inspired and very Ethereum aligned.
Definitely. On that note, I'm wondering, you've been in this space for a while. How do you think we're doing as an industry, as we develop, as stablecoins get adopted, based on that sort of original ethos, based on that philosophy?
I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I think
you don't have to say anything too controversial, but hot takes are welcome.
No. I mean, I think so. As a maxi, let me preempt this. As a maxi, right? And someone who has these very strong Hayekian ideals about like competing private currencies. I don't know, this ideal of self-custody that I mentioned, all of this stuff. I think it's necessary to have like an adapter stage. Like whenever you have technological development, you can't just like build in your own ivory tower and be completely cut off from the rest of the world, right? And this was the case with the internet. Like the internet for decades existed in the ivory towers and was only used by researchers. And then when it finally had its mass adoption moment, a lot of ugly things happened. And like a lot of compromises had to be made. And I'm not claiming that the internet is in a great shape today. I think the internet is in a horrible shape today. And I have a lot of hope for like Web3 and crypto to fix many of these issues. But there was like an adapter phase, especially as we went from Web 1 to Web 2. Like in those initial years of that shift, there was just so much compromise happening as well, and it could have been much worse, right? Like we could have had an internet that's fully owned by ISPs, like fully like siloed. That could have happened. So I think it's strictly necessary to have like an adapter stage where you compromise on a few things so that you can actually work with legacy systems. And And we need to do this because otherwise we're just floating there in our own like circular economy and only sticking to the same 60,000 whales that exist in this space, right? And that's sad, right? Like so much talent, so many like extremely smart people with like extreme pedigrees in terms of education and like just research and intellect kind of waste their intellect on building yet another casino to attract the same 60,000 whales. I think that's sad, and we're much better off finally talking to the real world, which may include like the banks and the people we are like up against. But if that's an adapter, an adapter is the first step to then do a vampire attack, right? And if we have the better rails, the better tech will win, right? And it is internet native, and it is better. Like it is strictly better.
Right? I mean,
because, for example, stablecoins are exactly.
Totally. If the system can't compete outside of its own self-referential bubble, then the solution itself isn't sustainable to begin with. So I know what you mean. I actually read a really interesting article a few days ago. I wish I could remember who it was from, but it was essentially the same narrative, the same argument with crypto culture as what you're proposing with sort of the technological solutions. Is we've been playing self-referential games for a very long time, and I think there's a general like feeling of slight malaise that the culture is shifting and developing and evolving, but it's necessary and probably an indication of something long-term positive, even though short term it feels like we're a bit untethered from where we were the last 5-6 years.
Absolutely. But hey, one of these shifts that I'm going to get so much hate for that, but like, come on, it's such a trust-based industry. What the heck are we all doing on Telegram? Like, right? Like LinkedIn exists because it creates the social proof of who you are and who follows you and so on.
Mm-hmm.
That exists in business for a reason. And now I see this culture shift away from like anon accounts and anon founders and so on. Like I think that's strictly beneficial, honestly. Like it just reduces the surface for people to get scammed. And yeah, I think that's great. Although I will miss the memes.
Although the suits tend to scam as much as the anons tend to scam. It's just
that's
a little more sophisticated.
Or less sometimes.
Yeah, maybe
or less
less.
sometimes. And I mean I've been I created this very optimistic picture, but honestly, like I went to like a large stablecoin conference which was full of these like finance pros and a lot of stablecoin related companies as well, like big ones as well. And I was so surprised. I was sitting at the table and someone said ERC20, and then like a bunch of no one knew what that was. Right? And it's just such a shift when you suddenly, you're having like literally CEOs of stablecoin companies and they don't know what ERC20 is. It's a shift away from the infra, from like the Ethereum layer. Suddenly Ethereum is just a database. And now you're talking business logic, you're talking institution, you're talking legal, regulatory, and so on, things that like we've not really thought about until recently as a space.
Yeah, it's very surprising. I've had a couple of similar conversations over the last few months where you speaking to someone with a very legitimate pedigree, and you assume there's a base level of knowledge on the Web3 side, and you find out that there are some things that it's not even clocking radars yet. I think it will, but not quite there. Awesome. I also wanted to call out before we sort of wrap things up. You guys were huge in Buenos Aires this year at DevCon. You finished first in the global the Startup World Cup at EF DevCon. 200 applications or 200 teams or projects that applied, and you guys won.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it was a tough competition.
Congratulations. That's
For sure.
incredible.
Thank you.
There's no real
Thank you. It
question
was.
here. I'm just like, that's awesome. But if you have any thoughts or
Thank
like, how was the experience? What did you guys learn from it?
I think it was really interesting. I mean, I don't think we've ever competed like in a pitch or startup competition. And there were like a lot of really good and interesting companies there. So we were very surprised to get first place, but very honored also to be given first place and be recognized. There, I think, yeah. I mean, the Peanut went viral a few weeks before Dev Connect, so the timing there was absolutely perfect. And I think a lot of people just used it for bill splitting, for making payments. And what's surprising is that so many people kept on using it. Like
Yeah.
I thought it would be, like kind of a flash in the pan moment, but we still get so much love. Now we are kind of on our improvement arc. We need to fix a few issues that kept on breaking. I'm sure like some of the users who might hear me talk will have experience, I don't know, having to get refunds and contact support. We're always extremely thankful for anyone who reaches out to us. Please do. There's a big support button. That's the best way we can improve. So please always message whenever you notice something. And now we're like on this big self-improvement arc, and
Nice.
and kind of getting ready for the next 10x or so. Yeah. It's
Very
been Dev Connect has been an absolute blast, and it's been really beautiful to see so many people give it so much love.
awesome. I'm glad it was an accelerant. Actually, that is one other thing that I wanted to touch on. Live support. You guys have live support where you talk to humans.
Yeah.
It's, thinking about it, as we try and build products that are, based in Web3, but touch normal, normal users who maybe don't care about crypto, they just want a solution. The ability to talk to a person, especially when people are aware that they're using a new form of technology, it involves money, huge. How are you guys doing that? How does that work? And talk to me a little bit about the thought behind it, because I think it's a very smart move.
Thank you. We were, yeah. I mean, when you think about, like, just to zoom out a little bit, when you think about a startup, like a pre-seed, seed stage, maybe even like early Series A level startup, you're building an iteration machine. You're not building like a company in a specific, you're building an iteration machine, and you need to understand exactly where the fit of product market fit lies. And how do you do that? Well, you talk to users. I think it's old YC advice. You should spend all your time doing two things: talking to users or like building the product. And and I think it's very easy to get tempted and not talk to users, or like talk to users, but it's like the UX guy talks to the users.
Yeah.
But like when you think about UX, it's not like the UX guy. It's like the whole product is the UX, because it's literally it's user experience, right? So the whole product is your user experience, and we think like support is the best way to talk to users. Like it's literally the best way. It's free. Like you don't need to like schedule interviews and like whatever. Like you have them. They message you, so they're highly engaged and they're willing to help.
Mhm.
They give you the love and the time and the like their own time. Like someone bothered in their busy day to open your stupid app and click a button and then type. Like you should
Yeah.
be grateful. Like you should be showering them with love and gifts. And we're trying to do this. It doesn't always work out, but we're really trying to cherish those relationships. And And it's the easiest way to then also ask them stuff and observe their behavior, and for them to become part of the process of building this thing. It's not just like to fix things. I think people delegate support of like, oh, something is broken, we need to fix it. No, it's like your channel to it's a systematic channel to talk to users. And there's a very big reason why it's the second biggest button. Like, it's literally the second button in our app. Like the QR code scanner is the biggest button, and then the second most important button is support.
I mean, it's also incredibly reassuring, right? For a new user to know that that's there and to have a direct line. So if someone calls at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're picking up the phone. Direct line to Conrad.
I mean, we as founders, both Hugo and I, we look at pretty much every support ticket still pretty much daily. And we don't always answer all of them. Like we have a whole support team now, but we do look at those because they give us also an overview of the company's health. Like in fact, like when we do weekly metrics or like monthly reviews and metrics, one of the metrics is support tickets per daily active user. Like that's literally a metric that is probably the most important product metric that we have.
Very cool. Awesome. Cool. So we're just a little over half an hour. Probably a good place to wrap things up. What's coming up next for Peanut over the next 12 months? What's 2026 look like for you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so excited. So I mean, just so many things to build. I think one of the big focal points will be the system that I mentioned that aligns our users who grow the network with the network. And essentially, you invite people, you get rewarded for inviting those people. And not just invite people, but like invite people who actually contribute value to the network. Like building out these systems, which for now are very rudimentary inside of Peanut, will be like a huge focus for us in the coming months, and proving out that we can do this repeatedly and like repeatedly go viral in places we launch. I'm very, very excited about that, and talking to more users. So I think that's one of our favorite things, to just discover these stories.
Makes the support
it's
button
extremely
even
rewarding.
bigger.
Even bigger. Like, I hope one day I want to see a Peanut app where like the only button is like the talk to Konrad and Hugo button.
I love it.
That would be
amazing. Cool. And just we'll put the links in the show notes, but people want to learn more, where should they go?
Peanut.me, and also our Twitter, which is Join Peanut. And you can try the app if you find someone who will share an invite code. So Dave, maybe you'll be
I've got one, you've got one. And, you can hit us up on Twitter. I'll send you a link.
Exactly.
Sure. Conrad, thank you so much for joining. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you, Dave. It was so nice.
Happy New Year.
And have
Happy New Year. After New Year's, it's going to be a week after, but tonight it's New Year's for us. So Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Cheers.
Thanks, Dave.